In our modern, fast-paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the highs and lows of life. We celebrate our victories with joy and excitement, while we mourn our losses with despair and sorrow. Yet, as the story of the king and his sword reminds us, the impermanence of life is the key to finding inner peace. This concept, reflected in the simple but profound words, "This too shall pass," provides a timeless lesson for us all. But what does it truly mean? How can we apply it to our everyday struggles and joys? And how does it connect to deeper Buddhist teachings, particularly the 8 worldly conditions? Let's start by diving into the story. A wise king, feeling overwhelmed by the extremes of his emotions, sought a way to temper his reactions. He found himself elated in victory and devastated in defeat, often losing perspective on the bigger picture. Recognizing this, he asked his mentor to inscribe a quote on his sword, something that would remind him not to be too attached to either success or failure. The mentor thought deeply and finally etched these simple but powerful words, "This too shall pass." This phrase is both a reminder and a call to mindfulness. It speaks to the impermanence of life, the fleeting nature of both good and bad times. Nothing lasts forever, not our joys nor our sorrows. When we understand this, we can begin to live in a way that is more balanced, not letting ourselves get too carried away by emotions or situations. The 8 worldly conditions, a Buddhist perspective. The Buddha himself taught a similar lesson in his teachings on the 8 worldly conditions. These conditions describe the experiences that every human being goes through during their lifetime. They include 1. Gain and loss. 2. Praise and blame. 3. Fame and disgrace. 4. Pleasure and pain. According to the Buddha, these conditions are like the tides of the ocean, always changing, ebbing, and flowing. We are constantly exposed to them, whether we like it or not. Sometimes, life brings us success and pleasure, and at other times, it hands us disappointment and suffering. The problem lies not in experiencing these conditions, but in becoming attached to them. When we cling too tightly to success or despair too deeply in failure, we lose our balance and ultimately our happiness. Take, for example, the first condition, gain and loss. In our society, we often define ourselves by our achievements, our careers, our financial status, our possessions. When we experience gain, we feel validated, proud, and even superior. But when we suffer loss, it feels like our world crumbles. We might lose a job, a relationship, or even our health. If we've attached our sense of self-worth to these external things, their loss can leave us devastated. The key, as the Buddha teaches, is to understand that both gain and loss are temporary. They do not define us. Yes, it is natural to feel joy in success and sadness in loss, but we should not let these emotions control us. Instead, we should cultivate a mindset of detachment, a recognition that these conditions, like everything else in life, are impermanent. Praise and blame, the trap of validation. Another worldly condition we frequently encounter is praise and blame. In a world dominated by social media and constant communication, we are more exposed to others' opinions than ever before. A single post can garner thousands of likes, or it can be met with harsh criticism. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeking external validation, allowing praise to boost our ego, or letting criticism damage our self-esteem. However, just like gain and loss, praise and blame are transient. People's opinions change, trends come and go, and what may seem important today might be forgotten tomorrow. If we base our happiness on the approval of others, we are setting ourselves up for inevitable disappointment. The Buddha teaches that we should not seek fulfillment in external praise, nor be disheartened by blame. True peace comes from understanding our own intrinsic value, independent of others' opinions. Fame and disgrace, illusions of identity. Fame and disgrace are also part of the 8 worldly conditions, and they often play a significant role in shaping our self-identity. Many people chase fame, believing that public recognition will bring them happiness and fulfillment. But fame is fickle. It can be given as quickly as it can be taken away. Likewise, disgrace can feel crushing, especially in a world where mistakes are often amplified and remembered. But both fame and disgrace are ultimately illusions. They are constructed by society, and they say little about who we truly are as individuals. As with praise and blame, the Buddha reminds us to not get caught up in these labels. What matters is our character, our intentions, and our actions, not the fleeting perceptions of others. Pleasure and pain, the universal human experience. Finally, we come to pleasure and pain. This is perhaps the most primal of the worldly conditions, as all living beings seek pleasure and avoid pain. However, in our pursuit of pleasure, we often forget that it is temporary. Whether it's a delicious meal, a vacation, or even a loving relationship, pleasure comes and goes. When we cling to it, hoping it will last forever, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Similarly, pain, whether physical or emotional, can feel overwhelming in the moment, but it too shall pass. The Buddha encourages us to face pain with equanimity, recognizing it as a natural part of life's ebb and flow. By accepting both pleasure and pain without becoming attached to either, we can find a deeper sense of peace. Applying these teachings in everyday life. So, how do we apply these teachings in our daily lives? The first step is to cultivate mindfulness. When we are mindful, we become more aware of our emotions and reactions. Instead of getting swept up in the highs of success or the lows of failure, we can observe these feelings with a sense of detachment. This doesn't mean we should become indifferent or unemotional, but rather that we should not allow these emotions to control us. Let's consider a practical example. Imagine you've just received a promotion at work. Naturally, you feel excited and proud. This is a moment of gain, praise, and possibly even fame. It's perfectly fine to enjoy this success, but remember the lesson: this too shall pass. The promotion may bring new challenges, and your career may not always be on an upward trajectory. By keeping this in mind, you can enjoy your success without becoming too attached to it. Now, imagine a different scenario. You've been let go from your job. The feelings of loss, blame, and disgrace can be overwhelming. But again, remind yourself, this too shall pass. Losing a job doesn't define your worth as a person. It's a temporary setback, and with time, new opportunities will arise. By adopting this mindset, you can navigate the difficulties of life with greater resilience. Finding peace in impermanence. At the heart of Buddhist teachings is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life is in a constant state of change, from the seasons to our emotions to the very cells in our bodies. When we accept this truth, we can begin to let go of our attachments to the 8 worldly conditions. We can find peace in knowing that both joy and sorrow are fleeting, and that our true happiness lies not in external circumstances, but in our inner state of mind. As the Buddha wisely taught, this too shall pass. Whether we are experiencing the highs of success or the lows of failure, this simple phrase can help us stay grounded, mindful, and at peace. By embracing the impermanence of life, we can free ourselves from the endless cycle of attachment and aversion, and instead, find a deeper, more lasting happiness. In the end, the lesson is clear. Life is not about avoiding the 8 worldly conditions, but about understanding them, accepting them, and learning to navigate them with grace. When we do this, we unlock the key to a more balanced, peaceful, and fulfilling life.